Salud. Welcome, everyone. Got Tender Love and Care here. And we will begin right away. We've had very good and successful live chats. I have an update for you all. A very great update. So I did reach on one of my videos here on God Tender Love and Care. 10,000. So I did get a notification that I reached a 10,000 view mark. Thank you, everyone, for subscribing. We've had hundreds of subscribers throughout the week and for liking and sharing the videos. We are very fortunate to have a God Tender Love and Care God TLC community and network that is very respectful in communicating with each other. Throughout the week, we've spoken about different topics from media, multimedia, education, news, martial arts, MMA, etymology, boxing, what's relevant in the world around us, health, fitness, mainstream ideas and media coverage. We've added some humor in there with the trivia and riddles. And today we will continue our journey into the world of telecommunications here on God Tender Love and Care. I welcome your opinions. If you have anything you would like to share, please share your opinions in a respectful manner in the chat. If you need me to mention anything out loud, any products or merch that you are sharing, representing, creating, small business, ideas, books, music, etc., any of your creative works, or those of your friends or family, feel free to share, and I will do my best. I've learned a lot from you all, so I do appreciate when you share information back to me. Y también sabe que nosotros podamos comunicar en cualquier lenguaje que ustedes desean. So, parlez-vous français? Si ustedes prefieren francés, podemos hablar en francés, un peu italiano, siciliano. Si ustedes quieren comunicar en el lenguaje siciliano, me avisan. I have learned so much from you all, where we've spoken in a very multilingual, shared our multicultural perspectives. I've learned things that are regional forms of information, such as one of the books that we did a review on here, the Bhagavad Gita. In some places of the world, it is also pronounced Bhagavad Gita. That G, listen to the G sound in Bhagavad Gita. And in places where the Bhagavad Gita does derive from Sanskrit and languages that are more Sanskrit based, the G in Bhagavad Gita is a bit hard of a G. So, with that being said, everyone, thank you so much. We've had a lot of success, and that is a very celebratory welcome. A few other notions and ideas is that throughout the past month, we've covered those national phenomenons that have happened, such as the Hurricane Debbie that has swept through the United States and Canada, North America, and even parts of Central and South America. What I really liked about that is that during when that was happening and the live was constantly minute by minute, we were following it together. Many of you in those places or who had family in those places were updating me on the situation. I did find out that Orlando wasn't hit as much as Sarasota from you all, and that is news to me. Some stuff that the news does not cover. So on this media channel, we do take a sociological, anthropological, journalistic, psychological approach. And with that being said, everyone, let's start right away with one of my favorite segments of the God Tender Love and Care live stream, which is the trivia. So this is a random trivia generator. We've learned many facts, and if you've been a part of the trivia throughout the week, you know that the ones that I have read out loud have been authentic, and you've gotten my live reaction to a lot of the trivia, riddles, random facts, etc., that we've shared and spoken about together. Now, why are trivia questions important? Because as a professor, I don't necessarily believe in tests or how traditional tests are administered in the schooling process, but I do believe in assessing information in more engaging and creative ways. I do feel that assessing students on tests in the school manner is very limited. And with that being said, everyone, I will give it up to y'all for 1 minute. I am going to share with you a trinket. We do have merch for sale on our website. You will be able to see in a moment. And I would like you to guess what this is. First person in the chat to share what this is here should have access to that now. So I am going to place that token right there, and you should be able to see our projector. Just loading up our projector here. So cultural transmutation there. I'm going to share with you what this is. We do have holographic live cards from baseball cards, basketball cards, readily available on our website, as well as ebooks, etc., music, etc. All right, and what I did share with you all right here is the energy fire card, representing that dragon energy, the fire element. And if any of you are collectors of any certain products, feel free to share what that is. All right. That also provided me a chance to take a gander at my meditation station. Meditation is an integral part of my daily exercise and fitness routine. Let me know what kind of workouts you suggest. So, random trivia that have stuck with me, and these are the good ones because we've read different lists throughout the week, month, and I've held on to some throughout the years. I really remember and like that. Which days of the week are the strongest? I don't know if any of you remember that one, but I will pose that question to you all again. What are the strongest days of the week? Take a moment and think about that one if you have not been part of our previous live streams. The strongest days of the week happen to be Saturday and Sunday. Why is that? So I just fed you the answer. I want you now to think about why Saturday and Sunday are considered to be the strongest days of the week. Take another moment to reflect, think about this question. And I had to do some thinking initially. I've never come across this riddle besides for yesterday. Saturday and Sunday are the strongest days of the week. Drum roll. Because they are the weekend. And the rest of the days are weekdays. Week as in WEAK. I'll type that into the chat for you. Week days. As opposed to week days. I really like that one. It stood out to me. Word I'm playing on words. Other ones that have stood out to me are what another random fact that we came across that stood out to me is where was ice cream created? In China. Just stood out to me. I want to give a very inspirational shout out to MMA Hour host Ariel Hawani. Ariel Hawani recently mentioned that he is creating different form of communication, no longer with the Fox or Spotify. Wish you luck on your journey. You're an inspiration as a journalist. We do take on a journalist anthropological approach here. All right, so let's start off with trivia question number one. On what number is the decimal system based? Take a moment here. On what number is the decimal system based? The number is 10. The decimal system is based on 10. Why? Because the decimal system in mathematics, or positional numeral system, employing 10 as the base and requires 10 different numerals. The digits 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. It also requires a dot, which is considered a decimal point to represent decimal fractions. That is one out there for you mathematicians. I get it. Some of you may not be into math, but just think about math as money. There's a statistic I read out there that the concept of money, or actually wealth, is what is it, 10 or 20% math, and the rest is consistency and work. So, in what year was the Toyota Prius hybrid car first commercially sold? I don't not know that answer. Maybe some of you do. Share that in the chat so that I don't have to click provide me the answer. And we'll see how many people in the chat get this correct. The question reads, in what year was the Toyota Prius hybrid car first commercially sold? What I do know about the Prius is that it is a great travel vehicle, in that if you want to get from A to B and save money, you can get there. It is not an ideal vehicle for families because it does lack space. That is where the Toyota Sienna, ideally hybrid, and ideally a platinum version, comes in. But the Toyota Prius, I've known peers of mine to use as their get from A to B vehicle, and then they had the luxury of having if they had a family, they had a minivan. So for households, they tend to have a Prius for A to B, one or two of the parents, and then when the entire family nucleus has to go somewhere, they take the minivan. What is your car situation like? What kind of car do you drive? What is your most favorite car and why? I don't know if I have a favorite car. I haven't really thought about this question, having a favorite vehicle. I do know that certain types of vehicles have caught my attention. I want to give a very special shout out to the Toyota um, Platinum Hybrid, which runs on electricity as well as gasoline, um, Highlander. The Toyota Highlander has stood out to me as a very, very impressive vehicle, and as well as the Toyota Sienna. The Toyota Sienna stands out to me because it's more than just a minivan. They advertise the Sienna as an office on wheels, and as someone who is an entrepreneur and works and has their own business, I do prioritize that I may have to work at different stations, different locations throughout the year, even throughout the month, throughout the week, and to have the space and comfort of a Sienna is very, very beneficial. It's also a great vehicle for traveling with family, with kids. It's such a comfortable vehicle. It fits your groceries. It fits an entire family of, let's say, we got a driver, a passenger, and then the seats before are very spacious, and you have about a total of three seats right behind the driver and passenger, and three seats behind that section. In certain vehicles, it's different because you may have the driver and passenger, and then behind the driver and passenger, you may have only two seats, and then a captain's seat in the middle, or a captain's area that turns into a seat, and or you can push it down to have more space. So those vehicles are very, very flexible, and I do appreciate these Siennas. As of recently, I've seen those Tesla Cybertrucks, and I did see. I don't know how I came across this video that someone sent or it was posted somewhere on the fails of a Cybertruck. Having the Cybertrucks being stuck in mud, stuck in snow, having to be hauled out by another vehicle. Um, and that hasn't been my impression of the Cybertrucks. I do regard the Tesla Cybertrucks as very, very special vehicles. As someone who's traveled across the country And yes, I've traveled across the world, but scaling it back to across the country and traveling throughout North America in my vehicle, me as the captain driving, I've always thought about, wow, like the amount of roadkill that there are on the roads is ridiculous. And I was actually involved and almost closely involved in a very, very fatal car accident. One I'll get to later, but the one that I was almost involved in, I was driving to my university. I was going to go to class, driving from home. I'm on the highway, and it's my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, driving. I'm driving, she's on the passenger. We're I'm such a safe driver, but this accident it wouldn't have been easily avoidable. And the car in front of me, which is about like two cars in front of me, and there's no other cars, um, in the middle of us, I just like to keep a distance from other vehicles. I was taught in driving school that when you drive, you should have a car distance between you and the car in front of you. So this thing where cars get on each other is very, very actually anti good driving. So you're, instead of being on someone, riding someone while you drive, right? You have two vehicles, and instead of riding them, you give them a car distance. So then you're both driving here, they stop, you still have space, you can stop. So that's good driving. The car in front of me, I was driving. I'm there driving, paying attention, and then all of a sudden, we're on a bridge, and this underneath the bridge, there are like bike paths. There's a forest where you can go hiking, a hiking trail, and all of a sudden, a deer, big full size deer, jumps up from the trail, like out of nowhere, like it was just planted there. Jumps off onto the highway from the path. Woof! No one seen it. No one saw it, and the car could not avoid it. Totaled their car. They were driving an SUV, and we saw the deer smash up against the windshield. Um, I'd have to ask. I was in shock that my memory is foggy from that day, but that the impact and being able to hear it from our vehicle and see it. And when the Tesla Cybertrucks came out, I did my research, and these vehicles, there have been researchers out there that have noted that these are some of the most indestructible vehicles. They're tanks, they're pedestrian tanks on the road. That if a deer were to pull out of nowhere and jump in front of your vehicle, or if you're driving at night and animals run into the road, you are fine. You are fine. Your car will not be totaled. You'll hear a boom, but then it'll bounce off or fly off. But you and your family will be safe. That is my impression of the Tesla Cybertrucks. I have yet to drive a Tesla Cybertruck, so I can't attest to the validity, but that did stand out to me from my personal research and the research the researchers have been conducting on the cyber trucks, that you are completely safe. Mechanics have told me throughout the year that many of the vehicles that us laymen and citizens drive on a day-to-day basis, your Camrys, your Hondas, your Volvos, that they're meant to, like, imagine a can of soda, right? Imagine this. They're meant to, like, crumble right away to protect you. So cars are really, they're meant to crush. They crush easily. It's not like they're going to like hit something and not dent or like a can smash. Like they're meant to do that to protect the driver. I still don't quite fully understand. But that is the reality of the situation that I've come across. If you have come across different or varying information, please let me know. I am interested in your opinions. So, that is my opinion of vehicles, and how we got to this topic is the trivia question is, in what year was a Toyota Prius hybrid car first commercially sold? I don't know, but I did start to see a lot of them in the year 2025 and above. I'm not sure if I remember seeing them before that. Maybe earlier. Back in the day, I was driving not a Toyota Prius, but a Chevy Aveo, and that vehicle is sort of like a Toyota Prius, except it's not hybrid. And then that Ladybug car, because it was red, monikered by my friends, they said, "Oh, uh, driving the Ladybug car," and yeah, running the Ladybug car. uh, lasted me for such a long time. So, oh wow, I didn't know that at all. So the hybrid Toyota Prius was first commercially sold in 1997. That was way off, way off. All right, so how many standard AA batteries do you need to make up the same voltage as a 9-volt battery? I'm going to give you all 1 minute. As you all know, I do host and rescue animals. So I do have a pack of dogs here that are rescues. Do have is it a pack of cats? Let's take, do have a bunch of cats. So let's take, I had lovebirds, um, pack of cats. I'm not sure if it's a pack of cats. I do know it's a pack of dogs. What if they're collected? Oh, is it a bunch of cats? A colony of cats? A clouder of cats? A glaring of cats? A litter of cats? A colony of cats, and I'm gonna go check on them. I will be right back. Let me know, drop in the chat what animals you have or want to get. right, welcome, welcome. Everyone's doing fine. Thank you for asking. And cats are hungry, so I can hear them. I can feel them. And we are now, from what I remember, we spoke about pack of dogs, colony of cats, and this trivia question. We're gonna get to the other topics, but I really enjoy having talking points, learning new information that's not random. This information is stuff that we all should know. And I'm not probing you. Just having a conversation. One more. What is a small group of islands called? Let's think hard on this, or take your time and relax. Small group of islands. Cluster? I want to say cluster. Let's see what you all share on the chat for what is a small group of islands. Oh, I should have known this. I was completely thinking of, okay, I didn't know this. It didn't come to my attention until I read the answer. I was like, oh, yeah, uh-huh. Yep. So, small group of islands. This is a word that I've used in my writings, in my personal research and research papers. An archipelago. An archipelago. See, that's the thing about feeling like you're being tested is that the information isn't really extracted the best in test format. I do believe in open note test, but having conversations and being able to write and converse about the test questions is way more beneficial than telling students to study for a test, having them memorize a bunch of facts that they're probably going to forget. And that's where I believe indoctrination is part of schooling, where indoctrination is not education. Indoctrination is actually the antithesis to education. Um, so, with that being said, let's move on to our next phase of our conversation. And these are all very interesting. So, right on. Let's move on to the riddles, which have become my favorite part. A portion of it, we just haven't focused too much on riddles yet. Riddles have taken a backseat to the mom and dad jokes. But a good riddle is definitely very, very intriguing and stimulating and also engaging. So I did inadvertently read the question. I did inadvertently read the answer to the question. What has a neck but no head? I'd have to think about this, but the answer is drum roll, a bottle. And I read this. I wanted to fly by that one quickly. Hopefully, the next one I won't peek at the answer. I'm sweet and cold with a stick to hold, a treat on a hot day worth more than gold. What am I? I think right away of ice cream. I am sweet and cold with a stick to hold, a treat on a hot day worth more than gold. What am I? A popsicle. That one's a bit tricky because of the statement worth more than gold. That one right there, I think they could have used a better rhyming, something more factual. And while that is subjective, um, rhyming I think sometimes has to make sense. So that one's okay. What has a head but no brain? A head but no brain. A lettuce. Okay. Why do cats make good warriors? Now I think that this one gonna be a play on words. Something with cat, something cat, because they've got. Okay, so it doesn't play on words because they've got 9 lives. Yeah, I'm gonna. This is from Good Housekeeping. These are simple. These are quaint. Um, let's go to parade.com and see how these riddles juxtapose to what we just came across, also known as brain teasers. Now, the effectiveness of riddles and brain teasers in gaming and technology is so understated and so important, so valuable that restaurants nowadays have even put these monitors at their restaurants, and you pay a certain amount of money and you can play games while you're waiting for your food. A lot of those games are riddles, trivia questions, etc. So that is what the advantages of the riddles are, is that it engages your mind. So let's go on to the very next riddle. What has to be broken before you can use it? So something has to be broken before you. What do you think it is? What has to be broken before you use it? Eggs. I share that with you right away because I read the answer almost immediately. And this is the resource that I am on right now. So I'm young and I'm short when I'm old. What am I? A candle. So they're using age there in human form, right? Humans quantify their age in that way. A candle being young and old, I guess, yeah, use that term, but the terms would probably be new or new and old are very interesting antonyms because young is an antonym to old, but new is also an antonym to old. As you all saw there, um, I do think that what the MMA guru has done is very fascinating. It's a tab that I just shared with you. Someone who got on the streams and has made a business out of communication, anything martial arts. Here at God Tender Love and Care, we want to shout out MMA Guru. While we do take on a different approach, we do appreciate the work that MMA Guru is doing. Um, and we're going to continue on to our very next riddle. You did see some of them on the screen. I just wanted to show you the source that I'm using. I'm going to read one more. What goes up but never comes down? What goes up but never comes down? I read it. The answer is drum roll. What goes up but never comes down? Your age. That one there is interesting. These do stand out to me. All right, so let's transition away from the riddles and we will move on to what's going on in the world. This is the news section of our live stream. There's so much going on right now. You type in news, and I like to know what's going on now, what went on an hour ago, throughout the day, throughout the week. I work backwards, and you can get a good read on and juxtapose many of the different articles. They all want to capture your attention. And all the news articles are saying, hey, choose us, read us. Here's our perspective. Here's our take. Here's our idea, our angle. I do like to read many different various sources so that my opinion isn't biased or leaning towards one culture or community, so that I consider multiple voices and perspectives. So there is a I'll actually show you. There is a very neat feature that Google has for reading the news. So if you type in news into Google, you also come across, do you want breaking news, what's currently happening, today's news, the world news, local news, Trump, Ukraine, and other stuff. So let's see what's going on in the breaking news world as of today. All right, so a lot of politics, and now there's another hurricane. Wow. So we just covered Debbie, and this one is affecting the island archipelago of Puerto Rico. A strengthening Ernesto is poised to become a hurricane after brushing past Puerto Rico. Tropical storm Ernesto battered the northeast Caribbean on Tuesday as it took aim at Puerto Rico, where officials closed schools, opened shelters, and moved dozens to the U.S. territory. Endangered parrots. Okay, hold on. Shelters and moved dozens of the U.S. territory's endangered parrots into hurricane-proof rooms. It's not that they were saying that they were moving people who live in Puerto Rico to the United States. And then I read parrots, but there are so many more other animals than parrots. But yeah, hey, good for the parrots. I hope the humans are fine as well. This is written by Danica Koto, and this is the first that I'm reading of this. So this was last updated about an hour ago, less than an hour ago. Tropical storm Ernesto was poised to become a hurricane shortly after brushing past Puerto Rico late Tuesday, as officials closed schools, opened shelters, and moved dozens of the U.S. territory's endangered parrots into hurricane proof rooms. Doesn't make a mention of people. I am reading right now, all right, and I want to see footage on this. Something that I recently saw that stopped sharing and reflect is, and something that I think should happen is, there was a restaurant, and the restaurant is a lakeside restaurant. I think they're called something like that too, lakeside something. I've never been to it. I've walked by it, and they're right on the shore. So imagine, and you've probably, some of you have been to restaurants right on the water, right by a beach, where you, if you sit on the patio, you can overlook the water, the lake, the rivers, the oceans, using the environment to promote the business. And I went on the website to look at the menu. I think I was planning a family date night, go out, see what they have for food. And I saw on their website, and I was completely taken back and appreciative of what I saw. I thought it was ingenious. As you all know, I am a professor and I cover various different topics, anthropology, sociology, multimedia, economics, etc. All across the board. I've taught it all at every grade level. And as a professor, um, and working with university students and that level higher of thinking, um, and as well as my younger kiddos and students throughout the years, engaging people in a way that they feel they are part of the community it goes a long way. And I think that this restaurant that I'm mentioning did that. And I have never seen a restaurant do that. I've traveled the world with various different initiatives and projects, one of them being a project called Mucho Umami, where I personally got to go around the world. My wife and I brought her with, and we pretty much we were food critics. We were more food appreciators. We were very grateful to have tasted foods all around the world. And I pretty much just recorded my reaction, our reaction to trying out foods in different parts of the world, different restaurants, and then giving the restaurant and food a review. So much so that, we just mentioned Puerto Rico. I actually did some reviews in Puerto Rico. The people of the restaurant, when I did my review in Puerto Rico, saw my review, saw how appreciative I was, and said, "Hey, are you that person who just did this review? Like we saw it. It just came up on our email, and my manager said that everything's on us. Here, have some more." And for example, like someone like I don't understand the psychology. I'm not gonna say I don't understand. I get it, but I'm not that person. Someone like Gordon Ramsay, who is very critical, 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 doesn't really have like positive things to say about food or chefs. Um, because I've eaten all different types of food, and just being and having the opportunity to eat something, especially that's not poison, um, you're appreciative for that. It might not be the best meal in the world, but there's you can pick something that you can be appreciative of. But again, mainstream media and promotions take on a different take where you have to be critical, or where you have to put someone at the stake and crucify someone for what they did, and that can be something as bake a cake. Oh, the cake's not chocolate enough, it's not frosty enough. And I'm more of a, well, it might not be my cup of tea, but here's what I appreciated from it. And that's what I did for that project that I worked with, Mucho Umami. And from that point on, I've just always been very appreciative of trying out different meals. Um, so I'm looking up the menu on this restaurant, and I see that they have a media section. I'm like, oh, maybe this is where people can contact them and request to talk to the owner or the investors and interview them or something. And no, I click on it, and they have a live camera recording the water, the river, the waves of the beach. And I'm like, is this happening right now? I'm not sure what kind of camera it was. I didn't inquire into that. I do know that powerful cameras like the GoPro are perfect for any weather, storms, and many of my friends who have been filmmakers and coworkers throughout the years and peers have used GoPros, and that's just one example for capturing footage. And I'm tying all this together. I'm tying this all together. I know my sharing of these ideas is not clear cut yet, but one of my coworkers took a GoPro, they put it on a fishing pole, put it in the water, they captured really good footage. GoPro went in, and they just captured footage or time lapse footage. They brought the GoPro back in, they reeled it back in. And what happened at the restaurant is that they had a similar perspective. They had a camera, and the camera rolled 24/7, and they let people know, hey, this is, if you come here and eat right now, this is the view that you're gonna get. This is how the weather is. Oh, it's raining. Come eat inside. Well, it's a sunny, beautiful, windy, cool day. Eat outside on the patio. And with me tying that back into what we just read about Puerto Rico, I think that there can be and should be more coverage. And I'm not saying put your life at risk. For example, a few weeks ago, we had heavy flooding and storms and tornadoes where I live. And I recorded here in the bunker room while that was going on. But I also had a camera, which I call a mercenary camera, out there. And I was fine with if the camera, if something happens, and because the tornadoes were that bad, something happens and the camera just doesn't survive, then at least you all have seen it, have seen what's happening, what I'm talking to you about. So I live streamed like I'm doing now, and I had my mercenary camera. on a second live stream. And while I was telling you what was happening, you could then go to my other link on the playlist and see everything that was happening in live time. I would like to see more of that. Again, you need access to resources, cameras, etc. The camera that I'm using is a mercenary camera. It's a camera that I've had for years now, and it's still holding up. So I want to see if there are any videos on what's going on with this Hurricane Ernesto. Puerto Rico cancels classes, activates National Guard as tropical storm Ernesto approaches. All right, so I'm looking at pictures, and you're getting my live, honest reaction. I didn't know this was happening until we opened up these tabs. This happened about an hour ago. This is that much, and on top of news, you should be. If you're reading any books, you should also be reading the news and different news outlets as well, just to be an informed citizen. So I'm reading on here that people, not just in Puerto Rico, but the U.S. Virgin Islands, are very concerned with what's happening. They're saying, "Hey, don't sleep on this. So we need to take care of this now. We either need to evacuate the islands or provide the necessary resources. If any of you are joining from any of those islands, Puerto Rico or the U.S. Virgin Islands or any of the islands, um, like the French Caribbean island of Guadeloupe or etc., or Antigua, feel free to share what you need. I will do my best to get the word out. We did communicate with people who experienced Hurricane Debbie in Florida, and all throughout the East Coast recently. And then during that live chat, live stream, people in different parts of the world were telling me what was happening in their neighborhood: droughts, scorching hot temperatures. Um, and we made sure to get the word out. All right, so this is new to me. I need to communicate, people who I know who are in these places and make sure that everything's fine with them. We're going to take another look on what's going on in the breaking news world, and we will keep covering Hurricane Ernesto. I'm going to quickly look up. Well, it's a tropical storm now, but it is a borderline hurricane. Hurricane Ernesto. It states here Bermuda, and it's really affecting Puerto Rico. You look up Hurricane Ernesto and you see pictures of Puerto Rico, while the other islands are being affected, and even the mainland, United States, Florida is being affected. The island of Puerto Rico, the state of North Carolina, Lesser Antilles, Cuba, East Coast of the United States, Haiti, Hispaniola, etc. It's a Category 1 hurricane. Hold on a second. So I'm not sure if I'm looking at these dates correctly. I'm looking up Hurricane Ernesto, and Ernesto was actually a storm that happened, but this is has it hasn't officially been considered a hurricane yet. So what I just read to you, the locations are probably still affected, but what we're looking at is tropical storm at Ernesto to become a hurricane overnight. This was reported 4 hours ago. In about 38 minutes, people in Puerto Rico are bracing for a hurricane to remember. Now, there was a hurricane back in 2006 named Hurricane Ernesto, but this one is a tropical storm, Ernesto. I don't know how they came up with that name for this round. But let's take a quick look at what our people in Puerto Rico are saying. Um, People in Puerto Rico, bunker down if you can. Um, Make sure if you have family in the States that you contact them. And if you can take any flights out of Puerto Rico, do that. Shut down the house. Your life is valuable. Your life is important. I get it. You built a house. You built you've got your cars there. You've got your materials there. But that's all stuff that can be recreated. Um, and states here a hard night with a lot of wind and a lot of rain. People have actually been eyewitness to this hurricane because the National Hurricane Center is saying it's a hurricane. The news outlets are reporting that it is a tropical storm hurricane that is turning into a hurricane, but places such as the East Coast, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Guayama, Culebra, Vieques, U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix are very, very affected by Tropical Storm Ernesto. So if you can, I know it's not ideal, but good news, and maybe it's not the best news in the world, but it is a bit of a relief, is that someone, a researcher, is stating on WFTV 9 that it's not going to be like Maria. It's more weak than Maria. That is about 30 hours. That was about 30 hours on top of us, and it was a lot of destruction. So in 2017, Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, causing billions of dollars in damage to infrastructure, housing, and the economy. And this one, Ernesto, hasn't quite reached the devastation of Maria, but it's definitely up there. And if you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, it could feel like Maria and or even worse. So that is about from 40 minutes ago. There is live news right now. People are probably trying to leave if they can, but when you've made a life for yourself at when places that were in places where these things happen, it's you think like, hey, we'll bunker down, we'll survive, and this is everything we've worked for. Um, I do think that there should be more education on efforts. I back in like when I was first figuring out what to do for my master's degree, and I went to different programs left and right. I got multiple bachelor's degrees because I love learning, love knowledge, as you all can tell. I became a professor before I graduated with my bachelor's because of my merit. So that was a huge blessing. But I remember I was in this field of freshwater science, and I remember thinking, hey, with this degree, I will be a positive force in making sure that every single country has access to fresh water. There will not be a child, a family, a woman without access to water. I will be on it. And I remember coming up with hypotheses for how to get water across the world. One of them being creating more coconut trees, planting more coconut trees, and when there are storms, making sure you have a reserve of coconut water, because in Puerto Rico when Hurricane Maria hit, people didn't want money. People wanted water. They needed water. Their bodies were dry, and we all know that we are made mostly of water. That for an island that is surrounded by water to not have water, um, goes and tells us that there's a need in the field of water, of purifying, of making salt water, which the island is surrounded by, potable, which means that it can be drank, it can be consumed. And I thought, while we work on that, because that takes a lot of infrastructure science, and one of the inventions that I actually took to the Dominican Republic on a pilgrimage was the life straw. And I thought that the invention of the life straw, I still do think that it's amazing for survival situations where it takes any water, any body of water. Now, don't go up there and test this. You do your research yourself. But supposedly, the life straw works in filtering out water. And I thought that, well, while the technology in desalinating water, making it potable, is still a works in progress. Would coconut water, water that we can just grow, cover us until we can tighten up those loose ends? Because I do think that every person on this world, on this planet, needs access to water. So I'm gonna keep track of what's going on with Hurricane Ernesto, which is considered a tropical storm right now. I'm gonna contact my family, my friends from who might be affected by this. And if you have any thoughts, opinions, suggestions, feel free to let me know. This is God Tender Love and Care. Let me know when you are interested in collaborating. I'm looking to collaborate, bring some of you on this channel so we can talk. And any topics, any ideas that you would like to share, feel free to send me a message or comment on any of the videos. I will be live soon enough. Hope that you are safe out there and have a great and amazing rest of your journey.